Come on, Hazel. Push. You got it. Come on, Hazel. Come on. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good morning, y'all. So it's a little bit different of a venue this morning, but I wanted to stop. I wanted to tell you a little story about this precious little girl here. So Hazel was our last mama to kid, and I don't know if you can see her behind me, but she's the big brown mama. And she had 3 little babes, 2 bucklings, and this sweet little doeling. And this is who the story is about. So, you know, usually I say like the first 24 hours is the kind of critical time. If they make it through that, they usually do pretty well. Well, I guess I should kick myself for saying that, because on the second night, you know, everything was great. I went to bed and got up the next morning. I did some things inside because I, you know, felt so confident on how everything was going. We did have a bit of a cold snap. It got down below 40, which isn't terrible, but you know, it's colder than it had been. I think we actually got close to freezing. Anyways, so I went out after I did some morning chores in the kitchen, and everybody looked great. I was feeding. I actually milked Hazel, and then noticed that the babies did not come out of the shelter, and it sent me into a panic. So I went into the shelter, and Hazel's little brown buckling was dead. And I thought this little lady was dead too. She was laying completely flat, just had no energy, no life in her. Excuse me. And I was just panicked. I picked her up, she was cold, and I took her and ran to the house as quickly as I could. I took her inside, and I'd read that if you place them into like a garbage sack up to their neck, and then put them in the sink and turn the water on just as hot as it'll go, and that will help to warm them up quickly, and that bag will be like an insulator. Well, we did that for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and then we moved on. I took her out, I dried the bag off, and then we went into the bathroom, and I took the hair dryer, and I blew the hair dryer in the baggie to try to warm her up that way. I've got more bottles for you, hold on. Because again, I'd read that anytime with a baby goat, if they're dead, that's one thing. I mean, you know, and the little buckling was completely dead, but if there's any life in them, don't count them out until you warm them up. And so that's what my hope was with her. She was so cold and just had no energy and no life. And so I had taken some of the colostrum that I had milked out of Hazel. And again, you don't want to feed a baby until it's warm too. So I had that waiting on standby, but I was trying my best to get her warm. So I did the hair dryer, I did the bag in the sink. Those things had warmed her some, but still wasn't warm enough. And so my next thought was to go into the bathroom, and the kids' bathroom is somewhat small, and to take one of their little infrared heaters and crank it up in there and get that bathroom as warm as quickly as possible. And so that's what we did. And I wrapped her up in a towel and laid her in there. And I actually had to go out. I didn't have a choice, and I didn't want to leave her. And so I wasn't sure what to do. But Shannon was home. It was just he and I. And so he was home, and he said that he would go in and check on her every 30 minutes or so and report to me and let me know how she was doing. So I felt okay with that because I'd basically done all that I could do. So I went ahead and started running my errands, and in that first 30-minute check-in, he texted me and he said, "She's lifting her head." And that was great news because she was so like lifeless that her head just flailed about, and her legs, she couldn't stand. And I was worried that she may have been, she might have been laid on as well, and maybe, her back was broke or her neck was broke. I just didn't know. But I was just putting all my hope and prayers into nursing her back to health and seeing if it was going to work. And so, I told my friends on Instagram that I kept saying, well, if she makes it through this, she's got a good chance. If she makes it through this, she's got a good chance. And I just kept saying that over every little obstacle. And she kept showing out. So I did my errands and I came back home and she could stand. And it was like, praise the Lord, I'm so excited. So I wanted her to eat, and she ate a little bit of a bottle. But even with a bottle, sometimes mamas are, always better if they will take from the mama. And so I took her out, and I put Hazel on the milking stand, and I put a little bit here up on the milking stand with her. And then I let her nurse, and she nursed several times for several seconds. But still just didn't seem totally like energetic or energized. Better, I mean, like night and day better, but not fully, I wasn't fully confident yet. So I let her stay outside with Hazel, and I put them in what we're in right now. This is where I call our maternity suite. And that is where a lot of times I will put mamas and babies if they don't kid within a day or two of each other. And then I have, 3 mamas with babies, like lately it's been. But I put Hazel and her 2 babes in here. And that way I could check on them a little bit easier than going out and finding them in the big pasture. And so anyways, they were in here, and I came back out, and she just still seemed a little bit not great. It was going to be another fairly cold night. And so I decided, let's take her inside for the night. Hazel's a good mama. I bet she'll, and that's the worry. When you take a baby from a mama, that mama might reject it because it's been away from her so long. But Hazel's a great mom, and I've not had her reject any babies so far. And I didn't have any worries that she would reject her either. So I took her in and kept her in the bathroom, and she took bottle through the night, not a lot, but she did take some. And then the very next morning, she was up and standing, and there again, I was like, before I opened the door, I'm like, if she's alive, she's gonna make it. She's got a good chance. And again, she defied those odds, and she was up and standing and much stronger than before. So she came back out with Hazel and stayed the whole next day. And this was a Sunday. And so like right before church, I put her to Hazel up on the stand. She drank. I put them back in here. I did it after church. I did it again before evening church, and then again after evening church. And I, you know, at this point, this is what I was like, all right, if you're gonna live, honey, you've got to want it. You've got to want to live, and you have got to, you know, I can't keep putting you on the stand. You're gonna have to figure out the nursing thing. You're gonna have to really want to live if you're gonna make it. And that's because, I don't know, I just felt that she had to start doing a little bit more on her end to be strong enough to handle being out here. It's one thing to have a 24/7 bottle baby, but I like the mamas to be able to raise them part of the way if I can. What I do is I'll separate them through the night. I'll bottle feed them in the mornings, and then they'll go with the mamas the rest of the day, and then we'll start over again. But of course, with all this happening, it was a little bit altered. So I left her with that. I prayed about it, and I went to bed Sunday night. And Monday morning I came out, and her little body had filled out a little bit. She was up and she was standing. She even gave a few little hops, and I was just thrilled. I mean, absolutely thrilled. And you know, that was the last time I'd said, if she makes it, it'll be a miracle. So the name of this little girl, until she gets sold, I call her Miracle. And she is beautiful and shiny and sweet, and she's got these lovely frosted ears. And I tease because of what I was saying, you know, if she lives through the night, it'll be a miracle. So I named her that. But also, I was often reminded of the Princess Bride and Miracle Max. You know, when they take Wesley to him and they think he's dead, and they tell him, and he's like, oh, no, he's only mostly dead, which is still part alive. And that's what little Miracle was. She was mostly dead, but she still was part alive. And so I'm just tickled to death, and I think whoever gets her will have a fine doe on their hands, because she's got a strong will, very much like her mama, and she's just a lovely, lovely girl. And when I was telling the family this story, one of my children said, you ought to put that on YouTube, Mom, because that's a good story. And I bet people would enjoy hearing that. And that way, it's not on your Instagram stories, which fall off. And I said, well, okay, that sounds like a good idea. So today's installment was the story of Miracle. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. And we're just grateful that this little lady pulled through. And now I've got to finish up my chores because I have another list as long as my arm to get to today. Y'all have a great day.
Miracle, you gonna show out a little bit? Can you do a little hop? Oh, there you go. There you go. Good job. Good job. Oh. Oh, yeah. There you go. He's a hopper. Oh, yes. Yes. Yes, ma'am. There you go. He's a hopper. He's a dandy.